Hello, podcast and YouTube audience. I'm delighted to be back after a 2-week break. As you all know, the missing link in your healing is the podcast, where we try to bring you a holistic perspective and to bring you the parts or information or tools or perspective that you may not know or that may be missing from enabling you to become your own healer or assist yourself to heal from the inside out. And we promised you right up front in our podcast introduction that besides bringing you information and tools, we would bring to you stories of real people who have healed themselves or helped themselves heal from the inside out, that have used the approach that we speak about, who have gone on individual journeys to integrate mind, body, and spirit, as well as all other kinds of things, depending on the unique person's story, to heal. These are real life people who have gone through and come out the other side of all kinds of physical illnesses and symptoms. So their story is both inspiring and important because what it brings to you is a very definite knowledge that we can help ourselves because these people have done it. So I'm absolutely excited today, really excited that at last Simone Steyn, I hope I got your name right, is here to tell us her story and to guide us also through how, as a coach, she helps people heal in the way she has healed herself, but also through the incredible qualifications, certifications, and training she has. So, Simone, welcome. And it was Providence, divine order, that brought us together on a online course of Michelle McLuhan and John Homewood in about 2021. And ever since then, I'm delighted to say that we've had, I guess, what you could call a friendship, really, a very deep connection that has been so profoundly valuable for me. So thank you. You're a real person who does the real work from the inside out. And it hasn't always been easy, just like mine hasn't. But I have witnessed you, watched you, held space for you through all of it since I've met you, and you are remarkable. So welcome, and you can say a quick hello, but then I'm going to quickly introduce you before I hand over to you to tell your amazing story.
Hello, everybody. I am really, really, really honored to be here on this podcast. Thank you, Antoinette, for that amazing introduction. I'm really, really excited to be here. So thank you.
Yay. Okay. So just a little bit about Simone, and then you will know why you should listen to what she has to say, or I would if I was you. So Simone, as I said, is a highly qualified and certified coach. And the incredible thing for me is that she specializes in chronic pain and mind-body syndromes. Her specialty is fibromyalgia. I'm a person who had fibromyalgia in 2007 at a time when people weren't even able to diagnose it, to be honest. And I know that living with the pain and exhaustion and the symptoms that come with fibromyalgia can be completely debilitating. And it's something that more and more is being able to be treated, but by and large, not by the traditional medical world. But Simone, I'm so delighted that you're able to take people through fibromyalgia and other mind-body related syndromes, because it can be overwhelming. You can feel hopeless. Being in constant pain makes it really difficult to live your life on any level. And the worst part often about these autoimmune diseases or mind-body syndromes is the absolute frustration that comes with not being able to get a diagnosis, or not being able to get real help. And you have moved through your own journey of pain, and not only to improve your symptoms, but to live a more empowered life with vitality, purpose, and fulfillment. So rather than just treating symptoms, Simone's approach focuses on rewiring the brain's pathways, and we're going to talk more about that, processing emotions, and restoring the mind-body connection, and getting to know the magnificence within yourself. In her own words, she says, "My role is not to fix you. Instead, I walk alongside you and guide you to go within, to deal with the main triggers behind your condition. I will help you recognize your patterns, behaviors, and teach you to access your healing resources." So anybody who's been following our podcast knows that this is exactly what we're all about. We talk always about the body's innate wisdom and its natural capacity to heal, but we also talk about how often we need some guidance or help to enable us to go on this journey. So Simone's one of those people. So Simone, I'm going to ask you now to share your story, but I'm just going to say in 2014, fibromyalgia changed the course of your life. I know it wasn't easy, and I'm sure you'll share that with us, but I also know that you've come through it and have been able to move from hopelessness and physical suffering to not only being physically better, but to having a transformation within yourself that's led to peace, purpose, and joy, I think. And yeah, so that's really the core of our podcast. So I can't wait to hear your story and interject with some exciting questions.
Okay, that's my cue, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, another amazing introduction. Thank you, Antoinette. I always, Antoinette and I can talk for hours about things. It's really an honor to be here. Thank you. So as Antoinette said, yes, I think it was actually before 2014. I actually officially got the diagnosis, the fibromyalgia diagnosis in 2014, but I think I'd been struggling for a while before that. I was diagnosed and was not educated very well. It was at a government institution, and I think it was the rheumatology department or something, and I was given this big scary label. I had no idea what it was or what it meant. I wasn't given any information. I wasn't really told much about it, and sent on my way and left to interpret and figure it out for myself. And one of the greatest, most impactful methods of working with chronic pain is knowledge, is teaching people what is happening in a person's body. It's called pain neuroscience education. So already in the first step of my diagnosis, the error was there. I was not given any education on what was going on in my body, and my brain went off on tangents. I got worse. I started acting out. I went on a very challenging journey. I got involved in all sorts of addictions and alcohol, and I just didn't know where I was in my life. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what my identity was, except for this big scary label of fibromyalgia. Tried medications. I went from doctor to doctor to doctor to specialist because my shoulder's hurting. I can't move my shoulder, so there must be something wrong with my shoulder, right? So I'd go to a physio to go help my shoulder. There's something wrong with my shoulder. And then they'll do all their things and the shoulder still hurts. And this just happened for years and years. And eventually I decided, because I was a psychology student in counseling and coaching, and I just decided that I wanted to really take this to the next level and learn about what's going on in my body. I want to figure this out for myself. So I went and studied. I did a postgraduate program in chronic pain with one of the leading specialists in South Africa, Professor Romy Parker. And it blew my mind. It opened up my whole world. And when was this? This was a few years after my diagnosis. And that's when things started changing for me. When I was empowered with the knowledge of what was going on in my body, that's when I was able to start changing my perception and changing my belief and my identity and my understanding of what this condition was, and that I could deal with it and that I could take it on. But as you know, life happens in between and you figure it out, and then it's like a roller coaster, ups and downs and ups and downs. And it's about navigating life through these ups and downs with this beautiful knowledge that you have. And through all these ups and downs, I figured out a little program for myself that helps me. And so that when I have a down in my life roller coaster, I'm able to better handle it by using all this knowledge I've gained and all these tools. And I think in the last 14 months, I have been slammed, if I can use that intense word, slammed, 4 times with 4 major life events, big ones like retrenchments, moving, somebody almost died right in front of me, a very close person, like really 4 times in a very short space of time. And I just kept getting knocked right back down again, nervous system all over the show. And it's about learning how to pick yourself back up again, and through that, navigating the pain and not allowing it to come back through what I've learned. I could talk about my life story for 2-3 hours, but I won't do that because that would defeat the point of this podcast. I am here to talk about my fibromyalgia and how I understand it, and how I help people heal in this field, in this area, in this mind-body syndrome.
Simone, maybe we could I ask you if we could just start with defining fibromyalgia or explaining it, because it's also a word that is bandied around and I'm not sure people are. And then maybe from that you could also move on to other mind-body syndromes and what exactly you mean by that. And then I think we can weave in a bit of your story because I think it's very relevant.
I suppose, yes, it is irrelevant because how you get to this place in your life once past actually does play a role in how one develops these disorders and syndromes. So thanks, Antoinette. I will start off with fibromyalgia, and it is you've either heard of it or you haven't, and it's a massive label. Fibromyalgia is actually a central nervous system disorder. It is a mind-body syndrome, meaning that there is a very intricate connection between the mind, between your brain, your nervous system, and your body. So your body responds to your nervous system, basically. Fibromyalgia consists of widespread pain throughout your body. It's got lots of other non-pain related symptoms like insomnia, mental health problems, dizziness. It is a very long list that comes with fibromyalgia, over 50 different symptoms, and everybody is unique in how their profile presents. And you have different spots where your pain can present as well, or tenderness. And there can be gynecological problems, there can be gastro problems, stomach problems, headaches, pelvic pain problems, there's chronic fatigue, there's cognitive problems, cognition, fibrofog is what we call it. So that's almost what a syndrome is. It's a whole lot of symptoms and stuff that we don't quite know what it is, and we just group it under an umbrella term. And fibromyalgia is one of those terms. A mind-body syndrome is basically, it's a complex set of neural pathways that connects your brain and your body that have become, should I say, dysfunctional or not working as well as what it should, which can then cause problems in the body. Chronic fatigue syndrome. headaches, migraines, anxiety, insomnia, depression, pelvic pain, irritable bowel syndrome, carpal tunnel syndrome, back pain, lower back pain, shoulder pain, knee pain, elbow pain, tinnitus, dizziness, temperamental joint disorder, jaw pain. I could keep going on. Your brain can create any symptom or pain in your body if it feels it needs to protect you. And that's where the most important aspect comes in when I talk about fibromyalgia, when I talk about mind-body syndrome. As I said in the beginning, the number one most important thing when it comes to treating chronic pain is education. So the first thing I always do with anyone is start off with what is pain? What is it? So pain is it's an incredibly advanced tool. It's a system that we have in our body that we need. It keeps us alive. If I burn my finger, the little nerves, it goes all the way up to my brain. It's called a danger signal. My brain then takes that signal, takes that information, it moves it around memory and past and this and that, and the brain decides, is this ouch or are we fine? And then the brain says, oh no, this is ouch. Signal goes back down and you feel it in your hand. So it's not the burn here in your hand that's going ouch, it's your brain saying ouch. So that's how pain works. It's acute pain. It's very necessary. We need acute pain. But when pain becomes chronic, when it has moved beyond the point of natural healing, when it's no longer structural, they say it's between 3 to 6 months, your body heals. It naturally heals. We have an incredible, beautifully designed systems, and we heal. So when things are progressing beyond 6 months, it's become chronic. It's no longer a structural injury or problem. And that's where we go into the mind-body syndromes. When you can rule out a structural problem, an old injury that's healed, that's when it becomes mind-body. And what that means is your brain is interpreting normal, safe sensations coming up and down through the body. They're constantly sensations coming through your body. I'm sitting on a chair now. I can feel my chair. I can feel my legs on the chair. Those are sensations going up and down from my brain. Sensation, leg on chair. But with chronic pain, mind-body syndromes, that sensation gets interpreted incorrectly by the brain. And the brain feels the sensation of my legs on the chair, and it goes, danger, 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 something's wrong. And it sends down pain signals. So it's almost like if I throw you a little teddy bear for you to catch, but you catch a hand grenade, there's a faulty message there. It's not, the messages are incorrect, basically. And that's where chronic pain comes in, mind-body syndrome.
What is the root cause of that? Because you said, I went through your website, that why is that happening? And I'm assuming you're including lupus and multiple sclerosis and are all those kind of things included here in mind-body stuff or not?
Very good question. So there are certain things that we don't include here. So multiple sclerosis, lupus. No, I don't think lupus will be included in there. So when there's an inflammatory situation, inflammatory pain, like rheumatoid arthritis, for example, it's an inflammatory condition. There is structural damage in the body. There's an ongoing structural inflammatory problem happening in the body. That is structural. So rheumatoid arthritis is not mind-body syndrome. Cancer, for example. If you are in the full throes of being attacked by cancer, that is a structural problem. The symptoms and the pain that can develop from cancer, if it's long-term, that can become mind-body, definitely. But there's also structural things going on with cancer. You being, depending on the type of cancer, you're being attacked by abnormal cells. I'm not an expert in cancer, so I can't really speak to what's happening. But sometimes structural and mind-body can become intertwined.
That's
You
very
are
interesting information. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you, Simone, but the interesting thing is, I mean, I'm not formally trained in psychoneuroimmunology, but certainly one of the triggers for my cancer, as people know on this podcast, was mind-body connection, mind-body-spirit connection. So I'm not saying it was the only thing, and it wasn't my only path to healing, but it was a very critical part of my healing journey. And yeah, as a person who had thyroid issues from 30, then fibromyalgia, then cancer, and recently allergy reactions and gut issues, I mean, people might think, why am I sitting on a podcast helping people heal? Because it's those of us that move through this and get the knowledge and the experience and implement it that can really assist, I guess. It doesn't mean we don't always relapse, which we're going to talk about later. But so, yeah, thank you for that clarification. It's interesting to know, but I think it's quite valuable for you to just give us a little bit more insight to the root cause of the pain and symptoms, let's say, in your situation, because I haven't had fibromyalgia since 2008, but I had cancer 8 years ago. And undoubtedly, this stuff was one of the root causes of my cancer. I'm not saying for everybody. So, can you talk about what kind of root causes are we talking about? And could you maybe, or are you willing to give us an example of yours?
Sure, absolutely. And when I explained the difference between rheumatoid arthritis and fibromyalgia, for example, that's at the current point. That's where we're at now. We got to go further back to get to the root causes. Same with cancer. You don't just wake up with cancer one day. There's stuff bubbling in the surface in the background that's building up to it. And sorry for getting all Freudian on everyone here, but I'm going to have to go back to my childhood. Sorry. So how it works, I'm going to stick to the neuroscience here, and psychoneuroimmunology as well falls under that, is certain adverse childhood events. And when I say adverse childhood events, I don't mean that you were stabbed or that you were in a world war or that you were attacked when you were 3 years old. Yes, those do count as well, big time, even more so. But any form of event that you as a little 2-year-old or a 3-year-old or a 1-year-old did not have the emotional capacity to cope with. So whether it's mom walking out the room and being on the phone for an hour and you were in your little baby 2-year-old mind did not understand and felt that your whole world had ended and you were rejected, it doesn't have to be a major event. It can be something that as a 2-year-old, I'm just hypothetically saying 2-year-old, you didn't have the capacity to cope. Any of those type of events can prime the nervous system from a young age already, even in womb, even problems with the mom while you're in womb. From a psychoneuroimmunology, neuroscientific place, this can prime the infant, toddler, fetal embryos. It can prime your nervous system to become hypersensitive. And that hypersensitivity starts playing out when you get older. So very often, like you'll get juvenile fibromyalgia, it's not that common, but fibromyalgia often starts in your late 20s and 30s when all these things kick in, when all the life events start kicking in. Your central nervous system has already been primed from a young age as being more hypersensitive. And that is what sets you up as life happens, a traumatic event here, or this, or that, a loss, a mom dying, a dad dying. Those events are then I think it happened for me when I was in my early 30s. After my father died, it was a massive traumatic event, and it kicked things in for me. So priming from a very young age, and that doesn't mean you had to have had a bad childhood. It doesn't mean you weren't loved. It doesn't mean things were bad. I was also born as a sensitive kid. I was always a sensitive kid. I was just one of those sensitive kids, and I was nervous. It was just my nature. So I naturally had that sensitivity. And along with some childhood events, I got even more primed to become more, have a hypersensitive nervous system. And through that hypersensitive nervous system, your body starts feeling like it's constantly in a state of threat. And your lizard brain, as I like to call it, your primitive brain, starts developing this danger. Everything is a danger. Everything is scary. Everything's bad out there. Everything's the hand grenade instead of the teddy bear. And your body starts manifesting symptoms after a while with it. How can it not? It starts interpreting sensations that are actually safe as danger, 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 danger. So with fibromyalgia, I love using the analogy of a car alarm. Your nervous system is the car alarm. And normally, if somebody breaks your car alarm window, it goes off. With fibromyalgia, a little feather, lands on your window. And it goes, bow, bow, bow. That's what's happening in fibromyalgia. Your central nervous system is so hyperreactive that it doesn't take much for your brain to go danger, 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 protect, protect, protect. And now it's constantly protecting you because you primed. You've become hypersensitive in your nervous system. And there all the emotional stuff that can happen along the way that can exacerbate things, which is a talk for another time. But that's just on a more basic level on the neuroscience of it, without factoring in all the emotional stuff as well.
Wow. Well, I mean, Loretta and I think you have listened to some of our podcasts, Simone, but anyone who's followed us, we started off really talking about the unconscious and how, basically who we are by 7 is essentially who we are the rest of our lives unless we change that. And, we are wired human beings for fight and flight because we were meant to be chasing buck, and when there's a lion, that's relevant. But in our modern life, that fight and flight is often firing all the time. And as you so beautifully put, if in childhood or in utero there's some even perceived abandonment, and if it's real or some trauma, then what you've just explained so well, I think, is that we're automatically, unknowingly on that fight and flight. I love your analogy of the feather. It's so true. So you go through life, if you're me, with a lot of, and now I'm quite healed, but with mental stuff going down that I didn't even realize was dysfunctional, hypersensitivity, over reacting, thinking I'm always wrong, having low-level anxiety for nothing. And I've realized now that I'm quite far into my healing journey how big things I'm good with. If a lion chased me, I'd be calm, but it's the small things when the dog barks too much or I feel like I have much to do. I can feel now, because I'm so self-aware, how my body goes into that hyper. Yeah, I feel like I've been hit by a grenade. I love that. Meanwhile, it wasn't even a feather. And because I'm also so self-aware now, and I have the knowledge, I can feel the instant reaction in my body. Actually, it's fast, isn't it? And I mean, psychoneuroimmunology, the bit I've studied, I'm not trained in it like you. I can't wait till you bring that into your coaching, says, it can take 20 to 30 years for this kind of hypervigilance to play out in one's body. So I was a person in waiting for some kind of illness, and not necessarily just me or you. I think if we look at the state of human beings and humanity right now, people are very sick. Let's be honest, people are very sick, like more than ever. And a lot of that is this very stuff, but people don't have the knowledge to know, why it's happening, and that maybe it's been accumulative, and that they can make certain changes and do this work from the inside out. So, yeah, flipping amazing what you're sharing, and that you're coaching and helping people through this. So maybe it's a good time to ask you to briefly talk us through your approach when you help people with pain management or fibromyalgia. What is your approach? Because I just loved what you said on your website.
Thank you, Antoinette. And yes, I couldn't agree with you more, that humanity we've become a very ill society. And there is so much mind-body syndrome going on everywhere, that this is very, very powerful information. It's I'm so grateful that I've studied and learned this stuff, and that I'm applying it on myself. There was groundbreaking, revolutionary research that was done. When was it? 2017, 2018. It was some time ago, and it's done by my heroes in the field, which is Alan Gordon and Howard Schubiner and David Clark, and these are the pioneers in the field of pain reprocessing therapy, and that is all about the neuroscience behind the pain, these chronic pain type of conditions, non-structural brain-related chronic pain conditions where your brain is interpreting safe sensations as dangerous. And what does it mean to reprocess pain, which is one of the foundations of pain reprocessing therapy? To reprocess pain, we teach our clients that this pain you are feeling, it's not structural. Now, I'm assuming that you've already gone for your tests and done your things, and that there's no evidence of a fracture or a cracked bone or a tumor or any problems, that there's no evidence, the bloods are fine, all of that is fine. You are now in a full mind-body syndrome category, and to reprocess your brain is to teach you that the sensations that you are interpreting as pain are safe. You are not harming yourself. You are not in danger. This pain that you're feeling in your shoulder, there's nothing wrong with your shoulder. Stop going to the physios and the doctors trying to figure out what's wrong with your shoulder, because there's nothing that feels mind-body pain more than fear. So if you are constantly terrified and watching it intensify, what is it? What's going on there? Maybe if I do this, maybe if I do that, you're watching it like a hawk with intensity and you're terrified. Is it going to get worse? That is what's fueling it and making it worse. So we teach you how to interpret those sensations as safe. You are safe. There's nothing wrong with my shoulder. My shoulder is strong. It's healthy. It's just my brain sending faulty signals down. Thank you, brain. I've got this. I know you're trying to protect me, but I don't need it. I'm good. I know my shoulder's fine. So that is, and we use affirmations to help you rewire that terrified primitive brain. We use somatic tracking as well, which is a technique where you follow your pain mindfully, with curiosity, with interest. Is it big? Is it small? Is it black? Is it spiky? Where's it gone now? What's it doing now? And you watch it as if though you're watching clouds in the sky, not like you are studying for your final matric exams, like with intensity. Just gently watching it, a little leaf flowing down the river. So you're watching your pain through a lens of safety, not through the preconditioned, defaulted lens of fear. And these are the type of shifts that I work with, which is the pain reprocessing process. And then if it's even deeper than that, that's where you go into the emotional work. Because if you've had a primed nervous system from a young age, if you are terrified of life, if you've set up, as Jung likes to call, a schema of the world is not safe, from a young age, you're 4 years old, you worked out that the world isn't safe. You're now in your late 40s. You're in a wonderful relationship, a happy marriage, or whatever. Life is great. But your lizard brain, your primitive brain, still thinks the world isn't safe because it still believes that. Even though you're happy on the outside, your primitive brain still believes that the world isn't safe. And that is where those incorrect signals are hitting your body. And that's why we then need to go further into the emotional experiences and see what's going on there, and work with these previous events that could still be causing you to live as if though the world were not a safe place.
This is incredible, Simone, because if I had found someone like you in my 30s, I'm curious to know whether I would have ended up with cancer and now allergies. Because what's happened with me, and I don't know if it's everyone's journey, but it's interesting, is that as we heal past trauma or even way back past our childhood, I found it was hard for me to believe that, but it's been part of my physical healing, is that I seem to go to deeper levels of that space of feeling unsafe. And particularly when I'm in an intimate, so-called safe relationship of any sort, or life is working. And I mean, this is quite vulnerable to reveal this, but it's the truth of the journey, is I've observed that that's when I tend to create chaos or self-sabotage. So I've really worked with that over the last 5 years or so that I can catch it and not do it and not relapse, as you say. We'll talk about that just now. But so you're going along really well. And I think people who don't have this state, mind, body syndrome stuff, like people like me and you, just can't understand why our lives are the way they are, actually, because we're intelligent, kick-ass people with good lives by and large. But it's taken me 8 years now. It's not always a quick fix. 8 years since cancer, because I did most of this myself, which is a mistake. So the reason I started sharing my journey is to say, because of people like you out there now, and Loretta Fritchie, and people who can give people real help, not the bypassy stuff. I think that you can help yourself so much quicker. You don't have to go on a journey from 30 to 63 to try and figure it all out yourself. And I don't regret that journey, because it's what's happened, and that makes me potentially a valuable healer to others or podcast host. But it has not been easy. And recently I went to the depths of what it wasn't just fear, it was terror, actually. And I did end up getting really good help. So I am excited and delighted that people like you are out there, and it's a privilege to bring you to the world, because you've talked about meeting your pain. I think you've already spoken to that. I mean, I was never really in physical pain like you or other people I know. I was with fibromyalgia, but I got through and outside the other side of that in my 30s already, early 30s. But then I ended up with cancer, and recently it's allergies. And just through self-observation, I've realized you're so right. The fear is half the problem, if not more, actually. Because if you can catch the fear and soothe, it's amazing. So if you can just talk us through a few more of the ways that you help people through this, because I really think it could be, there is no quick fixes, but it could be a short circuit, much shorter than 33 years of self-work. So can you tell us, how have you already talked through how you help people meet their pain? Talk us through, you said to me something about relapse, that we can relapse, and the important thing is to know we're relapsing and what to do with it. Maybe let's just talk to those now, because I think it could be really helpful.
Okay, so I'm actually just looking at myself on the screen now and having a little giggle inside, because everybody experiences mind-body syndrome symptoms. So right now, in the last few minutes, my face has gotten all flushed. I got rosy cheeks and my forehead's gone a bit red and I'm a little bit sweaty. That is a mind-body syndrome symptom. Internally, my little primitive brain, who I have done work on, his name is Izzy, the lizard, and I've drawn him, and his name is Izzy. Izzy has gotten afraid during this podcast without me even realizing it. I've gotten nervous. And what does the brain do when it feels threatened? It protects you, and it sends out faulty signals, and bam, flushed cheeks, sweating. That, just when you get nervous, go speak up on stage, whatever, fear of public speaking. that symptom that I'm experiencing right now is a mind-body symptom. So I just thought I would share that in the moment experience of what was happening with me. So regarding relapse, yeah. So relapse happens because life happens, and I've relapsed. I mean, I've, as I said, in the last 14 months, I have been slammed with 4 different very big events, and every time I picked myself back up again, it hit me again. And because my nervous system is naturally primed from a young age, from being diagnosed with fibromyalgia, with all these labels and past fears and all of that I've been carrying for so long, I have a natural inkling to go that way. My brain has little highways that are just naturally going to easily slip back into that path. So when you have a major life event, it is like a prime reason for your brain to slip back into that space. So that is very often a very big cause of relapsing. Injuring yourself is another thing. If you injure yourself, there's pain, there's inflammation, the whole thing is there, and that can sometimes, the pain can persist beyond injury time. I recently, a year ago, twisted my ankle, went through all the acute pain stuff, inflammation, swelling, redness. I iced it, I did all that stuff. But I happened to be in a very good space. I'd just gotten a new dog, a new puppy, and I was moving to a new place, and I was in a really good space, and I didn't have any problems. The injury went away in normal healing time. Within 2-3 weeks, my foot was fine. But then another event happened, and I didn't have the capacity to manage my pain and manage my brain and my wire my pathways in the moment. I didn't have the capacity for it. I needed to just fall apart, and I did fall apart, which is okay. So that is one of the big ones, the stresses of life. Injury, a perceived injury. That's another one. While I fell apart, my pain came back. Something got really sore. Let's just go with the shoulder. My shoulders always act out. Shoulder gets really sore, and the fear, bam, kicks in because it's such a defaulted pathway. Pain, fear cycle kicks in, and you're like, oh, I've injured my shoulder. Panic, fear. So that's a perceived injury that can also kick back in that pain, fear cycle. And then the fourth one, and this is all part of Alan Gordon's work as well. As I said, he's my hero. The fourth one would be when you're not taking care of yourself. Basically, your body talks to you. If you are, I wonder what word we can use. Clean, not clean. That's an addict term. If we are pain-free, let's use the word pain-free, syndrome-free, and suddenly you start getting funny symptoms, your brain is talking to you, and it's saying, you are worrying, you stressed, you criticizing yourself, you putting pressure on yourself.
Yes.
After your internal state. And that's when you go, thank you, brain.
Yes.
I need to do some work
Yes.
because I'm slipping. So
yeah, sorry, Simone. Sorry, carry on. I love this whole concept of relapse prevention. I actually put out a whole episode on it based on Melissa Witherspoon's work related to alcohol relapse, but it is relevant to everything. And as Loretta always says, it's okay if we relapse as long as we catch it early and we know how to get back on the bicycle and stay in balance. Am I right? Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's all good. Sometimes when a moment sparks of insight, one has to share it. Our busy minds that we have. Yeah, so I think the important thing with relapse, and that's part of the training I do to also answer the question you asked of how I work with people. I do the pain reprocessing. I teach you somatic tracking, mindfully learning how to be okay with your pain, working somatically in your body. Affirmations are amazing. So affirmations can be quite cognitive, but sometimes you need to go somatically into your body. Can you
give us an example of that, please? Somatically into your body.
So, what I like to do, and they've done research on this, if you put your hand in your chest area or anywhere around your heart, mine's actually quite low down, anywhere in this area, you the same part of your brain lights up that would light up as if when you're getting a hug. So getting a hug from someone, a beautiful, nice, comfy, big bear hug from someone, lights up a certain part of the brain, and that is where endorphins and oxytocin and opiates and all that are released. That same part of the brain lights up when you do this, and that is a very beautiful way to just go into a space of calm, self-compassion, and to just close your eyes, go into that space, go to your little Izzy in your brain. As I said, I've caught mine Izzy, my little lizard, and just create a safe space for your Izzy. And to do that somatically through breathing, through holding your chest, through actually just really feeling the sensation of existence, of bliss, of right now in this moment. What am I feeling? I'm feeling safe. I'm feeling love. I'm feeling all of that. And that versus a more cognitive approach where you go in, you feel pain in your shoulder now, and I say to myself, okay, that's all right, brain. I know what you're doing, but I know I'm safe. I know this is just a faulty signal coming down to my shoulder. I am safe. I am strong. I am safe. I am strong. A little thing I like to do is scream sensation, because humor is amazing. We have to use humor because humor cancels out fear. So when we're doing affirmations or we're talking to our whatever, I feel pain come up. I was in yoga this morning. I felt pain come up, and I literally did a little sensation dance in my head because I'm using humor to just tell my brain it's all good. We're all good. Yeah, everything's fine. And then it just dissolves. It's like, so that's a more cognitive approach, a more somatic approach, which I like to start off with somatically, especially if you're extremely stressed out and highly intense. You cum laude everything in life. Everything is just go, high intensity. You really need somatic to enter your body somatically, and then you bring in the cognitive affirmations, and then the emotional work just goes even deeper, where I like to use processing major events. Maybe as a child, you lost your father and you were angry with him, but you didn't have the tools to cope with it, and then you do emotional expression therapy where you are able to process those emotions in a safe way with the tools because you're an adult. And then I do relapse training as well. I work with inner purpose, because if you're not waking up in the morning with the dream, a purpose is something. If you don't have something, there are many platforms within that can steer one towards relapsing, and being a rudderless ship or boat in the ocean with no direction is one of them. And I also work with what's in front of me. I don't like using a script, so I go with what your unique situation is. Yeah,
I love it, Simone. Maybe one of the reasons I've had to do all of this on my own, I mean, everything you've said now, I have actually stopped anaphylactic allergic reactions in their tracks through using, I didn't know I was doing a somatic or affirmation process, but by literally just catching the fear and calming it down. And for me, I pray and I go, no, I'm not going to do this now, but not in a brutal way. And I've honestly stopped very severe allergy reactions in their tracks. I know, because I know the symptoms. So it's very, very powerful, this stuff. And it gives us the ability to take control of our own healing. Yeah, so what you do segues so incredibly as a piece of the puzzle of what Loretta does and what we bring on this podcast. So, yeah, I don't know how much more we can cover now, but I think that you've given us so much. If there's anything, maybe at the end, you could actually end us off, if you feel like it, with some practical process, maybe a somatic affirmation process that someone could apply to any pain they're in if they're listening to this. But I think also just to say that I will, in the show notes, put your website because your website's pretty comprehensive, and it also has all your many qualifications and training. So Simone's not just sitting here talking about this, but on her website, Welcome to Fibromyalgia Fundamentals. The links will be below. She has all her professional qualifications, and if I had to go through them all, it would have taken me 10 minutes. So they're there, plus her own real life lived experience. And Simone has lived and practiced this stuff and got through really extreme things. I know that. So she's real, and she's practiced on herself healer with all the right training. So it's incredibly exciting and valuable. We all know there's no magic pill, Simone, but maybe we could end off our conversation before we do a process of, so is this stuff curable or not? Loretta and I were actually having a bit of a debate about art, especially these kind of mind-body syndromes. Can you give us your take on this?
I think the word cure is such a strong word. Life is just, it's movement, it's in flux, it's back and forth, it's up and down, there's no end point. It's the same. It's a journey that you are on. And even Alan Gordon, the Alan Gordon that I keep referring to, who had severe pain for a long time from his back. He had a full-blown constant headache for 2 years. I mean, he's had relapses when he knows, he wasn't in looking after himself or whatever. I don't want to speak out of place on behalf of him, but I've read his story, and I know we all, life happens. So to use the word cure, to say never, ever, ever again will you ever have a mind-body syndrome symptom, because I just had one now. I just flushed. And I'm not in pain, and it's not all mind-body syndromes. Symptoms are pain. Some of them are anxiety. Anxiety is a mind-body syndrome. So maybe you don't have fibromyalgia anymore, but maybe you have insomnia. So are you cured of fibromyalgia, or I don't have I'm not going to say it's a magic pill that you take and you're cured and never again will you ever have any symptoms, because there are too many symptoms to fibromyalgia. And I had insomnia last week for a few nights. I had insomnia.
Yeah,
but I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm living with purpose. I'm fulfilled. That's
and actually, that's thank you for bringing that, because I think one of the things we've been conditioned into and socialized into, and self-help bypassing, has brought us to this, like, things are not a black or white. The nature, like, I don't feel that my journey has been unsuccessful, because right now I experience more joy, more peace, more good health than I have ever in my life. But 3 times I've had some major physical issues. But as Gabor Mate says, and we talk about all the time on the podcast, when the body says no, it's telling you something. The symptoms of your body are indicating to you where something's out of alignment. And it's mostly because we've got off track or out of equilibrium. Am I right? Because when we're in equilibrium, as John Stevenson, who's an Alexander teacher on one of my episodes, I'll put the links below to his episode and the unconscious one. He said, life is about like riding a bicycle. So if we flip-flop, that's to use my language, if we fall off the bike, then we're not in balance. But does that mean we're always going to be zen and vibrantly healthy and peaceful? I don't think so, unless we really reach union with God and the highest form that a human being can in a body. And I mean, I might, if I'm very lucky, but I might not. So my journey, and all of our journeys, is to know when we're out of equilibrium, to know, oh my gosh, I'm really sick again. I mean, me, after all of the stuff I've studied and podcasted, my body had to take me right back down to some very extreme symptoms for me to go, okay, what's going on here? And it wasn't all my own fault because some of it's very unconscious, but some of it was. I was off track. There were certain processes and practices that I know and I speak about on the podcast that I know are good for me, and I stopped doing them. And I got very embroiled in it. Can happen, you know. I think that's what I love about what you've said is it can happen. And you and I are both living testament to the fact that it can happen and it can be tough, but we can come the healing will come from it. Healing isn't always a matter of, oh, it's dark or we're sick and we switch on the light and everything's fine. It's about going through it, am I right? And growing from it. So, yay. Simone, do you want to add anything? Or I think there's many more conversations to be had, but add whatever you want to, because I know we could speak for hours, and then maybe take us through a short process if you're willing to. And I highly encourage people, if they want to play a role in their own healing, go to Simone's website, because she will help you help yourself heal and walk beside you. And she's an incredibly compassionate human because she herself has had to go through a lot. She's got a lot of free stuff. I was fascinated by the fact that she has a free test that you can see. I haven't done it. But to see if you have fibromyalgia, she's got quite a lot of resources and free videos. So yeah, go and check her out.
Well, thank you, Antoinette. As I said, one of the most important things when it comes to mind-body syndrome and healing has to do with P&E, as I call it, pain, neuroscience, education, or just education. And that is what you are doing here on this podcast. And I am just, the world needs more of it, and more beautiful, insightful, healing podcasts like this. You are making a difference, Antoinette. So, and thank you for having me here as well. My website is called Fibromyalgia Fundamentals, and I have one-on-one fibromyalgia pain and mind-body coaching sessions. I also have a group program as well. I'm in the process of designing little online courses as well. I think what I could do just to finish off is do you have any a current ache or pain or anything right now, Antoinette, that you have on you?
Oh, I'm pretty good. I've got a little bit of a sore shoulder, but that's just because I've been doing gym and Pilates. But would you prefer a real life case study?
No, we
No.
could use your shoulder. We could
Okay.
I mean, ideally we want to use the shoulder that's been in pain for 5 years, because
No,
the
I
structural
don't.
problem heals.
I don't
Okay.
have. I've never actually had huge amount of pain. I've had other physical symptoms, but maybe
Okay.
you could. So maybe that's an unfair ask. Maybe you could just take us through whatever feels intuitively right to you. That somebody in pain right now
Yes,
can
can
take away
latch.
something.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right. So if you have one of those spots on you, as I said, my right shoulder is one of them. And it's not an injury, and you know it's not an injury because you've had it for 5 years, the pain. Injuries heal, structural problems get better, mind-body symptoms don't. So you've had this pain for 5 years, it chops and changes, it's sore, and then it's not so sore when you're out with your friends, and then it's really bad in the mornings, and then it's better in the afternoons. Structural problems don't do that either. They don't chop and change. If you break your bone, it hurts all the time. So that's another classic symptom of a mind-body syndrome symptom. So let's just go find a spot, a commonly defaulted pain spot that you have that gives you problems that you know now, or maybe you're not 100% sure, but you think maybe a mind-body symptom pain. And what I would prefer to do is guide you somatically into a very safe, calm, gentle space. So we can just start off with putting your hand on your chest, over your heart, in that area, to just close your eyes and to just gently tap in with your little inner Izzy, whatever your little inner lizard primitive brain, and to take a deep breath in, holding it for 4. So hold in, hold, and breathe out like you're blowing out through a straw for 8 seconds. And to just do a couple of rounds of that type of breathing, just to really, really feel safe and calm and settled, so that your nervous system can just ground. Ideally, you want to do at least 6 to 8 rounds of this breathing. And then we can go into that sore spot. So in being aware of time, I'm not going to do 6 to 8 to 10 rounds of that breathing. But ideally, I would do that first. But for now, we're just going to go. Keep your hand on your heart. Lose any form of intensity. Look at the sore spot, not through the eyes of a hawk, but through the eyes of watching fluffy clouds float by. And just tell me, what does this pain feel like? Is it sharp? Is it localized? Is it spread? Is it all over the area? Is it pulsing? What about a color? Does it have a color? Please remain curious and gentle. No intensity. Don't tap into fear. Stay calm and curious. Does this spot have a color? We're just watching it. We're just looking at it with curiosity. Does it have a shape? Is it spiky? Is it all flowy? Can you just watch this spot of pain just with curiosity? You're not trying to change it. You don't have a specific outcome in mind. You're not trying to make the pain get better. It may get worse. It may move. It may shift. It may shake. It may get better. It may not. All you're doing is mindfully, non-judgmentally, just watching it with curiosity and gentleness, and see what it does. And that is a brief little introduction to somatic tracking. You're just teaching your brain that it's safe. This painful spot is safe. There's nothing wrong with it. And in watching it through that lens of safety and looking at it gently, you are able to start rewiring a new pathway that can become more defaulted and can lead to losing that pain response.
Absolutely astounding. Simona, I feel reluctant to let you go without explaining what you meant. I can't remember what you called it. You said connect after the breathing to that spot. I would call it, Loretta calls it your spirit. I would call it your spark of God, your higher self. Is that what you mean? And that's a large part of what you seem to bring to your work as well. And I forgot to integrate that in our conversation.
Yeah, you're right. So I was specifically talking about Izzy. Now I see Izzy almost, if I had to relate to Izzy, as a part within me.
Okay.
Terrified, my lizard brain has, that's primitive brain. The primitive brain consists of adrenaline and cortisol. It consists of fear. It consists of reaction. It's flight or fight. It's the inner critic. It's being mean to yourself. That's that primitive lizard brain. It's all about protecting and looking out for danger and threat. And I like to tap into the mammal, the heart, the mammal space, which is all about nurturing and love and care and oxytocin and opiates and endorphins. And that's it's a self-compassion, and it's a different space to the Izzy space. Wow. When I work with my higher self, I bring the higher self as a part, as my highest part, to come in and help with all of this.
It's amazing. In fact, one thing you brought to me just through our friendship is family systems therapy. I'd never heard of it, and I haven't gone deeply into it, but it has been exceptionally helpful because of recognizing the parts of me that were keeping me in a alcohol drinking cycle. I wasn't even drinking much, but I had a problem because I couldn't just stop, and I couldn't figure out why. And the parts that is incredible, family system therapy. So I think we'll have to have another whole conversation about that, because when I accessed the part of me that was keeping me in that cycle, the protector part, I think you call it, to stop the exiles coming up because it would be too scary. As soon as I got that, I was able to drop the booze completely. And then, of course, the exiles came up and they weren't pretty. It was terrifying, but actually therein lay big healing. So this is big and exciting, and sure. So yeah, I think we should end there, but we maybe need to have another whole conversation about certain things, break them up, because family system therapy on its own is huge with this, and more of the neuroscience. And
yeah. And the emotional stuff, the family system stuff, that's a whole nother discussion. Absolutely. Thank you, Antoinette.
Thank you, Simone. You are an absolute shining light for all of us at this time. And I hope if anybody gets value out of this, that you'll please share this, okay? Because this information is out there, but it's not prolific actually yet, I don't think. And I think just this knowledge alone is a very big PowerPoint or starting point. Am I right? Yeah. Okay, everybody, it's the foundation. Without the knowledge and the awareness, you really don't have a foundation. And unfortunately, a lot of stuff out there, and I don't mind if I get crucified for this, because it's time for it to be said, there's too much stuff out there that's promising too much and not delivering, that's quick fixish, that's bypassing in the self-help and spiritual world. And it's time now for all of us to show up, to know the truth, and do the real inner work. And we are able to. It doesn't mean we don't need professional help, but we have more power than we know. So, Simone, thank you for being an absolute shining light at this time and for showing up to share with us today. And I look forward to much more. Lots of love.